Hey friends, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com. Instead of doing a video on you-know-who, or a reading on you-know-who rather, I thought maybe today we'll do a reading on his sidekick, the one who becomes president in the event of you-know-who's demise. I'm not saying his name either. I don't have a clever name for him yet. Maybe Tonto. Although I liked Tonto, so maybe not. So I thought I'd do a signature spread on where will the sidekick be by the end of the year. So today is Saturday. I think it's either the 30th or 31st of August. So we have September, October, November, December, January. We have 5 months before the year ends. I'm interested to know what his life will be, the sidekick's life. I want an explanation of what his life looks like by the end of the year. I'll go into my meditative place, handle and mix the cards, focus on the question. The deck I'll be using is by Cumpstey, The Great Parade. Okie doke. King of Cups. You know, he recently, today's, like I said, today is Saturday. There's been a few things, that have really stuck out in recent weeks. I did a video showing how ill the other one looked, seriously ill. Then he himself said something like, some incoherent statement about how he's not going to heaven, or he wants to go to heaven. Then the sidekick came out and said, well, if something were to happen to him, I'd be able to step up. Look at that. We have 2 kings. Wow, that's interesting. I'd be able to step up and take over. We have 6 swords. So there's a lot of court cards here. Communication, something that's being protected. Front and center of the core 9, we have 10. Put a fork in it, it's over. That's very interesting. We have another card nearing completion. It is completion. It's 10 cups. So we have 2 10s in a row. Wow, this is very interesting. So we have 7 cups. Sorry, this stand is kind of wobbly. Wow. So here we have 9 swords. Whoa. Wow. Wish fulfillment for J.D. Vance. What's his wish? I wonder. Wow. Okay, let's do the quint cards. We have 2 courts, so it would be the lover card would go here. We don't count the court. We'd add these, and we'd add all these 3, and then I'll be right back with the quints. Alrighty, now as much as I love The Great Parade by Cumpstey, I should mention something. It comes with a card that gives us 2 orders that the deck could be put in. It gives us the Bologna order, which this deck is really a cross between Italian and French, right? So the Bologna order, the Fool has no number. The Trickster, which is the equivalent of the Magician, is 0. The female Pope, the Empress, the Emperor, and the Pope were all given 1 because when the Bolognese decks were commissioned, were played during a certain period of time, because of political reasons, these people all had to have the same rank. They were in this sequence, but they had to be given the same point rank. Now, I do believe that, if two people lay down an emperor and a pope, I do believe that the pope might have won, but the point value that was applied to each would have been the same. That puts love at, or, the lover card at 5, the chariot at 6, temperance at 7, because temperance, I think, normally was like 6. And all these other cards, somewhat different ordering. Now, of course, this is the Marseille order, which we're all more familiar with, and it's very convenient, and it's easier to use in the sense that we're all familiar with the order, with the exception of justice and fortitude. So what I did here was to give us both cards. Now, both quint cards, when I add them up, just to see. Now, I believe this one was the Bolognese, right? I think I used the Bolognese for this. However, if we were to use the Marseille, I'll superimpose where they would have gone. Either one, it's very interesting. So for the top row, we have 2 courts, 2 kings, King of Cups, King of Swords, who's who, and then we have 6 swords. And then the quint card for that row would be victory, moving forward. So is that like, are they the 2 kings? I mean, do we have two rulers here? Do we have who and the other sidekick? I don't know. And which is which. But they're both looking this way. So the question is, where will he be, the sidekick, be by the end of the year or the next few months? So is it that he's trying to continue the dialogue? 6 is a perfect number. Suit of Swords can be seen as communication. Is clearly protecting something. So is he trying to protect? Is he trying to protect, what went on before him? Is he trying to protect that? And then if we go with the Bolognese order, then the number 6 card, right, would be the victory card. So he's in a position of victory. He's in a position of achievement, trying to maintain or preserve perhaps the dialogue or the information or the agenda of the previous king, for want of a better word. Now here, we have 2 10s, which have the only value, because the queen doesn't have value in the way I count up the quints. So in this, the Bolognese and both the Bolognese and the Marseille, the 20th card would be the angel card. And in this case, it would be the last judgment card. So in either case, this card would be the same. So information coming through, enlightenment, he'll be held accountable for the end. Now, this isn't a man, this is a woman. So it looks like a woman is overseeing the end of something. We have air and water. I mean, this is like put a fork in it, right? Something ended. Now, air and water, it's not, they don't really, it's not like fire and water or air and earth or anything like that, I mean, they can be in agitation to one another, but it looks like the woman who oversees, could it be, there are few women who are the mouthpiece for who. She oversees the end. She's going to oversee something regarding the end of the original's reign? I don't know. Is that a stretch? And then I think she'll be responsible for, well, this is regarding him, but this woman may play a role, in telling him, calling him, telling him how to do things, right? She's going to tell him what to do. Whoever this is may end up having more power than the sidekick. And then the bottom row, we have, maybe this is him beginning this way. I don't know. Because at the end, we have him as the emperor, the one in charge, which is interesting with somebody who's advancing. And then, again, air and water. We don't see fire anywhere. And we don't see coins. We don't see fire and we don't see coins. We see emotional stuff. We see lots of communication, agitated communication. I mean, look how the communication is, right? There's a lot of tension. So he'll be in a tense situation, highly emotional situation. This is a wish fulfillment card traditionally. He may get his wish, which is to be the king or the emperor, right? So I guess it would be safe to say he'll be in an emotionally volatile situation because of the agitation with the water and the swords, water in the air, even though they're not necessarily, I don't know, it's my take on air and water together is that it's not really like air and fire together, but when I see these cards together frequently, it's an agitation. That's how I understand it. It's a bit of an agitation. It's not the same as air and water and fire, but it's still kind of like a combo that's not ideal. And then the ultimate card for him, where he'll be, is temperance, like trying to clean things up, trying to detoxify, perhaps trying to distance himself. But it does seem like he'll be in an advanced position of power, possibly his wish come true. He will be, there will be a woman who oversees what he says, what he announces. He might not have as much power as he would like to have, but he'll be the headpiece, right? He'll be the head honcho, perhaps. Now, let's substitute the cards with the Marseille. So for 6 up here, we'd have lover instead of the chariot. So we'll put the lover here. So we have a partnership between men, something that's trying to be protected, and perhaps that he's trying to protect and honor the partnership. Okay? Then here, that would not change. I still think that there's a woman who will be dictating or calling the shots, for the situation. Then down here, not being the emperor, but being the empress. I mean, there's a lot of people who have thoughts about his personal life, the sidekick's personal life. So, rather than being the emperor, he'll be the empress. However, they're both powerful individuals, and if they're emperor and empress in their own right, there's, we can see the empress as being the equivalent of an emperor, unless it's seen as a sidekick, so he may never get past being the sidekick, Now the final card for here, I believe, let's see, would be number 7. So either way, the chariot pops up as him moving forward, as him having some success. So you can take whichever, numeric values that appeal to you the most. Excuse me. You could replace that with that. You could replace this with this. And the Chariot would have been up here. I had to use another card because it's already down here. But the Chariot. So, which one do you prefer to see? Or which one do you think is more legit? Certainly it's much easier to just go with the Marseille. Right? It's much easier to go with the Marseille. Very, very interesting. I think, I don't, the universe, when I do things, they usually, I say to myself, the universe knows how I lean. Do I lean toward the Bolognese style? Do I lean toward the Marseille? And you know what? To be honest, with this deck, I'm never clear in my own mind which way to go, and that's probably why I don't use it. It's probably why I don't use this deck as much as I love it. There are no numbers on the Triumph cards. We got this little card that, but it just seems so confusing. So I think moving forward, when I use this deck, the universe, I'm telling you now, I'm going to be using the Marseille order because it just seems much more, it's just more clarification. This is a little tricky. So if we go with the Marseille order, here it is. I think it's this, with the Marseille order. If we go with the Bolognese order, it's that. Well, see, now I'm confused. Hold on, let me check. Yeah, if we go with the Marseille order, it's the Empress rather than him. But for all intents and purposes, a person in a position of power, and this could be seen him in a way that, people, make fun of him, the eyeliner and the mascara stuff, They may see him as the queen, I don't know if that's will be going on. But in either case, it's a position of power. It's advancement. It's wish fulfillment. It's being run or handled by a woman in the position of power. And there's a need to cherish or protect, the partnership that went before, which is him with another king. So I think this is extremely interesting. We'll see how the year plays out. Until next time, friends, peace, stay well, be kind, and be brave.